don't, I don't, like, she's not in here, so, uh-oh.
So should we leave it on or just take it off right now?
uh, you can leave it on. It's fine. It's not going to disturb anything, but try to make sure you're muted, though, if you're not going to try to get, because the way I have the camera set up right now is kind of janky, so uh,
All right.
it could change at any moment. So try to keep muted if you're not getting mic'd up. Other than that, I think we should be good. So let me just. It's weird her not being in the hangout.
Who?
Shameful. Kelly is running the. Like she gave us the stream key, and she's basically pressing start stream on the.
Oh, I gotcha. That's interesting. Okay,
All right.
we're
I think we may be live. So let me get out there. And okay. So, I am not watching the stream, but welcome everybody to Project Sanity. This is the June 9th, 2016. I'm your host, Richard, aka Progressive Green, and today, Nis isn't going to be joining us, but I have a plethora of folks joining us from the Progressive Army, and introduce them in just a moment. And I'm just getting situated here. As a result of Nis not being around, we had to do some last minute reconfiguring. And so here we are. And I just want to let you know today we're going to be talking about the California primary, what happened, what hasn't happened, and more details regarding that. We're going to be talking about what's going to happen at the National Convention. And on that note, we have Adair Schmidt joining us, who is a national delegate elected out of Washington's 10th Congressional District. And I'll be introducing ABS Opinion for his first on-screen appearance on Project Sanity, and thank him for joining us today. And we'll be going over a few other things. So first thing, obviously, we saw what was some of the early results out of California, and we'll be getting into this into a little bit more detail with our correspondent Dave. Uh, but one of the things everybody noticed is that Bernie, the margin during the when the when the AP initially called it was about 20 points, a little over, a little under, and that shrank to about 13% as of the most recent reporting that I saw. But what I've also been seeing, and I'm sure several of you have also been seeing, is that there are piles and piles of ballots yet to be counted in counties and area precincts or whatever. Yeah, I think they do it by the county in California. All over and again, Dave's going to be going into some more detail with that. One of the other headlines I wanted to draw some attention to, since California is going to dominate the headline quite a bit, I didn't want to miss what was getting reported on over at The Intercept. There was a great article about Hillary's involvement in Sudan and the basically how Hillary and the Obama administration, but it was actually the reporting in The Intercept leads us to believe that Hillary's State Department had a significant role in basically getting waivers for South Sudan in order to get military backing from the United States, despite the fact that they had child soldiers. And so it's a really in-depth, great piece. I don't actually have all of my windows and everything set up, so in order to get you the details, because it is a great piece, I want to make sure that I get that for you. And so it's titled Hillary Clinton's State Department Gave South Sudan's Military a Pass for Child Soldiers by Nick Terse. And it's over at The Intercept. Please check that out. It's a great, it's a really well done piece. Something kind of rare, really great investigative journalism, and talking with some important people. And so check that out if you get a chance. One of the other headlines that I wanted to mention was also out of The Intercept. The UN chief admitted that he removed Saudi Arabia from child killer lists due to extortion. So we see that it's not unique to the United States dealing with extreme or less than savory regimes around the world, and that if we see the UN chief was was removed for or excuse me, not was removed, but he removed Saudi Arabia from the child killer list due to extortion, at least how it's being painted, and that's from Alex Emmons and Zay Jelani. Now, that's the primary ones I wanted to get out of the way. I really want to dive into California and get Dave on here. So let me just prep that up for us here. Find Dave. Make sure Dave's ready for us.
I'm going to unmute because now I'm remembering to unmute, so I'm going to do that now.
All right, there we go. And
I'm
let me
unmuted.
just make sure I got this the right way here. Oh,
I think I'm on.
yeah.
Or close to it.
Oh, curses. This is one of the issues I was having here, so I got to set this up manually. There we go. Sorry about that, Dave.
All good, all good. I know at Grassroots Media,
Yeah, man.
you and I have been together doing stuff like this for a year, so
Yeah, I'm new to the producing thing, so I haven't been screwing
I hear
this part
you.
up for
No,
that. So, but yes, so we've talked before, and you had a lot of interesting news coming out of California. Go ahead and share with us a little bit of what you have, and then we also have a piece, I believe. So if we want to start with that piece, I didn't get a chance to review it myself, so.
Oh, well, let me just prep it for you. This is actually, the day started off on Tuesday in a sort of a different way. The city of Pasadena had scheduled the sentencing of a Black Lives Matter activist on the same morning as the election. So, or perhaps it was just on the calendar for that day, and that's what was happening on the morning of the 7th as well at 8:30. So right off the bat, I went down there. The Black Men for Bernie were representing and down there in solidarity. So they were down there, and we were supposed to hook up with them throughout the day at some of the polls. So I thought, it would be behoove us to go there, cover this, because wanted to see, exactly. It was a new story to me, actually, because of course the mainstream media doesn't cover anything that goes on. And when you dig a little deeper into what's going on with this story, it really becomes more appalling, and appalling on so many levels. So down there, I talked to some folks. I was one of, I'd say probably half a dozen citizen journalists and one mainstream media cameraman, who not only was he the only one there from any media. It was a local ABC affiliate. He was alone and had to enlist a young man in the gathering, the crowd there in support of Jasmine, to hold his microphone for the press conference. So that is the piece I put together for the show today. Is some news here in Southern California that it's being completely ignored by the mainstream media, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and just to give some background for those who haven't run across this story themselves in one place or another, Jasmine Abdullah Richards was a young woman that was part of was it a protest that was going on in the park, or was a?
It was in support of another young lady in Pasadena that died at the hands of in custody of Pasadena Police Department. Or it might have been LA Police Department. The mom in the piece refers to LAPD, so there's been conflicting reports, but I believe it's Pasadena. What I'm getting is Pasadena has a history, according to the activists, and one of the reasons that Jasmine Abdullah started Black Lives Matter Pasadena was because of this, and there's actually a YouTube video. Democracy Now! Covered this, of course, and there's a video of Jasmine and why she started the branch of Black Lives Matter Pasadena. So the piece goes into a little bit, in the words of the activists and the supporters and the allies. One of the young guys I spoke to there, my wife and I, Chella, spoke to, made a comment. Kendrick, he commented that it was one of the most diverse protests and actions he's seen in a long time. So I have about a 3-minute piece I put together that goes into some of the case and what they're hoping for and were hoping for in the sentencing.
Perfect. And so I'll let the piece speak for itself, and then we'll come back and talk about it after it's done.
Great.
And it looks like I need to adjust the audio as a result of some of the things I've been doing here. So sorry about that, folks. Just give me a moment here, and I'll get that squared away for us.
Oh, good. It was indeed, it was a several hundred folks out there, really diverse. and the cameraman was quite surprised that of the size of the crowd, and he got on his cell phone and said, there's a lot of people down here, and I'm the only professional in the crowd. And a lot of guys with cell phones and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, and the Black Men for Clinton bus is here. And I turned and I said, Bernie, nice reporting.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure we get that clear.
And then not long after that, the chopper and the drone showed up. So I don't know who that was.
All right. Seem to be still having some issues, so I might just have to wing this here. Give me a moment.
We wing.
We got this. All right. Where did it go? There it is. That's what we're looking for. So we are going to try it this way.
Lots of news in the California primary, guys. Stay tuned.
I don't know. That's peculiar. Get my audio here to work everywhere else, but it does not seem to want to play the audio for the video, of course. Oh, here we go.
We live in a country that...
All right, we got this. All right. Thank you, Dave, for being patient. Thank you, audience, for joining us, by the way. I just want to thank you all. This just remind you is Project Sanity on the Benjamin Dixon channel. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for allowing us to have this space and this platform to help speak these ideas and get these important stories out there. And subscribe if you can, share if you like what you're seeing, and give us a thumbs up. And so here we go with the video. Thanks.
You folks are coming out to Pasadena, California.
Yeah. Yes.
Jasmine reps this neighborhood every single day when she's on the outside in her parks, in her community, like a real organizer should. We live in a country that denies black people our democratic rights. We live in a country that denies black people, our ability to actually be citizens who civically engage in our community. We live in a country every single day that says black people, don't show up for yourself. What Jasmine Abdullah did was show up for herself, like so many other organizers have done across the country, and I would argue across the world.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter is a call to action. It is a cry for urgency. Black people are dying.
Say her name! Waukesha Wilson! Say her name! Waukesha Wilson!
I'm here in support of Jasmine Abdullah. She has been a voice for my family when we were unable to speak. She's been at the commission office every Tuesday on behalf of my family. She's been a great force in our lives, helping us, supporting us, speaking out, speeches, protesting, because my niece was killed in the hands of LAPD.
We are here today to demand justice for Jasmine Richards. Yeah. The conviction of Jasmine for attempted lynching is a travesty of injustice.
And I'm actually out here in support of Jasmine, who, in our opinion, should not be spending any jail time. She was doing something that she did every day in the park, and saw something that was unjust, stepped in to be a part of that injustice, and was arrested, and is now facing a charge to where she would spend 4 years in jail at a maximum sentence for just standing up for the people that she was with.
It is a perversion of a law that was intended to protect people from lynching, but instead this is a modern day lynching of Jasmine Richards.
That's right.
If anything, especially on today, the day that people are voting, the day that we are supposed to realize the ideals and the promise of democracy.
Right.
We demand justice for Jasmine because, if anything, Black Lives Matters represents the best democratic ideals of this country.
All right. Yeah, and so I'm sorry that you guys aren't able to hear that along with all the other issues been trying to sort out. That is along with them. And so so Dave, if you could just I heard a lot in that piece, and that was really great. I'm glad that I was able to see that versus what I've seen written so far. And so it seemed like it was a very large movement out there. And I guess if you could go into a little bit more details, it mentioned that she was accused of lynching or attempted lynching.
Attempted lynching, right?
Yeah, if you could explain, and I know she was brought up on some other charges. I don't know if you have some insight on
Correct.
those other charges, and what this attempted lynching means.
Well, yes, apparently there were some other misdemeanor charges. I'm not sure. I don't know the exact details of those, but her attorney did speak outside of the courthouse. I had left by then because I was on the political trail. And we did find out actually that the result was she ended up with 90 days and probation instead of the 4 years maximum. Now, that's 90 days too long, according to most people in that street. And anyone that thinks that someone should be in jail for this. Now, what she is in jail for...
Especially, I had to just put into this context. This is juxtaposed to the headline of the Brock character over at Stanford getting basically the same sentence for raping a unconscious young woman. So
yes, I just read that. Yes, so that's the equivalency in this justice system. And what the background really of it is the law was created to protect black people from being taken away from the authorities by a lynch mob. And it's a very broad. I haven't really seen the details of how she actually ended up getting convicted, because according to the family, the circumstances behind it didn't fulfill the requirements of the law. It required a mob. There was no mob. So there's a number of issues just in the guilty verdict itself. But this was the sentencing phase, and there were over 57,000 petitions that they turned in, of course, asking for leniency in the sentencing. So they were hoping for her to just be released and on time served, which I believe has been 18 days or 19 days, 20 now, I guess, since now that we're at air. So 90 days is far too long for everyone in that crowd there that morning, I'm sure. And just another interesting point in this is just a month ago, at the beginning of July, the legislature changed the name of the law to take the word lynching out of it, and Governor Brown signed that into the law at the beginning of this month. So what she was convicted of and what she was sentenced to, the law changed in the terminology to take the word lynching out of it.
During the process of her,
in the interim from her conviction to her sentencing.
Fascinating, like no doubt realizing that it would be a headline, and
correct,
yeah, and that's interesting. So the government can act pretty quick when they actually want to get something done. Apparently,
yeah, apparently, the California legislature is not as in stalemate as they say it is.
Renaming seems to be their gig. Like the few things that they can get accomplished, they can rename stuff.
Yes,
so maybe we can work that to our advantage somehow as the people. I don't know how yet. Go ahead.
No, just to you can watch the whole protest the time we were there, and a couple other interviews, and on feeltheburn.tv, streamed the whole thing live. So that whole video is up there, and that was how we started our morning, and then the shenanigans began at the polling places. So we continued on to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if people want to look up, you can find the video of what appears to be the incident transpiring of which she was being convicted of, to get so you can judge for yourself whether whether you think it meets the threshold if you want to look up the law and so on and so forth. But I think the overwhelming the perception is that the police they habitually overreact. And so even if there's some justification in whatever actions that they took, the default position of assuming that the police are overreacting is an understandable one, especially for a young black woman who is already probably in the crosshairs of local police as a result of inspiring or being associated with a BLM movement in their locality. So
very, very much so.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a variety of BLM people, either through Twitter or through other sources, that basically just mentioning, they've noticed increased awareness or presence and around them, and we've seen with the Ferguson and the Baltimore protests and subsequent issues that came out of there that there was surveillance drones and planes flying over observing those people. So and we know, going all the way back to MLK, that he was under investigation by the FBI. While so for all the people,
but apparently
you
like, can still get. Apparently, you can still win the nomination for the Democratic Party if you are indicted by the FBI. So, shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, history's being made.
In many ways. In many ways. Yeah.
So, I guess I think we should go. Well, I'll let you. I'll leave it. Let you guys get some influence here. Do you think we should go into California first, or I think we should go talk about California and some of the shenanigans that you mentioned? Then we're going to bring Brandon in here, also known as a BS Opinion. Introduce him and let him give us some more information about the Electoral College that relates to after California. So let's go with California now. And Dave, go ahead and give us a quick little tell us the story, Dave.
Well, in my day, as you saw, I started out downtown or in Pasadena, and then it went off. We were getting basically there were reports coming in all morning from the time the polls opened that what the poll workers and the poll captains were giving, the information they were giving people was inconsistent at best throughout all of the polling locations throughout the county. There's 58 counties, and everybody apparently has different ways of doing their voting. It's apparently what I heard this morning. So the information that people were getting was just wrong across the board for the most part. And what ended up happening is there's 2 million votes, according to my last conversation with Lauren Steiner with LA for Bernie, who has been in conversation with the LA Times and reaching out to precinct captains to get information. Looks like there are 2 million uncounted votes, which, according to a Target report, basically means any mail-in ballots that were dropped off or postmarked that day, or any provisional ballots, those are all currently uncounted. And that number is somewhere close around 2 million. And Lauren Steiner has been working all day to get volunteers to be vote count watchers, which is completely legal under the state of California. Anybody, any citizen can watch the counting. That's my understanding. So, pardon the dog. It's a little disconcerting that today's activity on the political realm is throwing a real kibosh on everybody that's been working for so long. And all before really California is done. And there are 2 million outstanding votes that could quite reasonably sway or at least significantly change the numbers here in California. And it's my understanding that Bernie had a letter that he was ready to send to the superdelegates, and that the results in California are kind of what changed his mind about that. So I'm going to go take care of the dog.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, no, that's very. It's fascinating to me is that the media never really clarified or made, like, and at least as far as I've seen, that, when they say 100% reporting, they just mean 100% of precincts have reported some of their results, which is a really weird way to report something, in my opinion. That seems like a very convoluted way to why not just either you could say 100% of the precincts are reporting some results as soon as any results come in from all of the precincts, and so there's no you muted yourself for the dog. So
yeah, I guess technically you're right, because that's 100% reporting of what they turned in from those precincts. But the other ones are being counted later. So yeah, of what was counted that day, that's what was reported. It's like the superdelegates. Unfortunately, it's backwards. They're counting them before they actually vote. So, but that's basically, that's what voted. That's what got counted that day. But there's still 2 million votes that haven't been counted. So I don't know. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure Bernie wants D.C. to vote. A mainstream narrative is that that's the day he's going to And on Wednesday next week is when he's going to throw his support behind Hillary Clinton. Now, there's conversation as to that's actually happening, but he's basically given himself another week to decide. And there's a rally going on right now. I was going to kind of, as opposed to the hockey game that's going on right now, I was going to check in with the rally and see what's going on with that. So maybe I go figure out what my dog is barking about. I'll check in on the rally, and maybe Brandon can come in and tell us what we can hope for if somehow this turns into something other than a two-way race.
Yes. So we'll go ahead and let you go for now, Dave. I appreciate you joining us in that in the package you delivered. It was wonderful, and we will get. Let me just. Oops. Nope. That's.
I'll be around later. I just got to figure out how to stifle the dog.
Yep. And so make sure you guys, when you get a chance, check out Feel the Burn TV on YouTube. You can follow them on Twitter as well, and you can see those videos in full, along with a lot of other great videos. And before I bring Brandon on, I do just want to say I would be remiss to not mention that Benjamin Dixon show, tonight's guest is going to be Adolph Reed, who is a professor of political science, I believe still at the University of Pennsylvania, but he's taught at Yale, Northwestern, and the School for Social Research, and they're going to have a great conversation, so make sure to check that out. It'll be on after us, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, so make sure to stick around and check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you can, and